In this video, you're going to learn how to trigger larger-than-life chords in MainStage 3 using the Chord Trigger plugin. Hey everyone, David from Sunday Sounds here, where we believe in making MainStage fun and easy to use for worship musicians. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because we release brand new MainStage tutorials and free resources all the time. In the description, I'm going to include a couple of links to some great free resources for you. One, our free MainStage Basics course, and then also a big download of free MainStage worship patches. Now, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite plugins inside of MainStage. It's the Chord Trigger plugin. We use this plugin all the time in our song-specific patches. It's an awesome plugin that makes it easy to play larger-than-life chords with a single note press. And we've also added a new feature recently to our Sunday Keys template for MainStage called Easy Chord that does all of the work I'm about to show you for you. So you can just pick a key and automatically have awesome chord trigger at your fingertips. So let's dive into the Chord Trigger plugin. We're gonna start off by adding a new patch to our concert. I'm gonna drag it up here to the top. And then we're going to insert a software instrument channel strip. And we'll load in the EXS24 instrument plugin. And then I'm going to go down here, and just so you can get a clear picture of what's going on with the plugin, I'm just going to load in this Steinway grand piano so you can really clearly hear how the chord trigger is affecting the sound. So this is what that piano sounds like. Okay, so chord trigger is a MIDI effect. That means you're going to add it to the channel strip up above the instrument plugin area. So we're going to hover over a blank slot here and click, and then choose chord trigger. So this is the chord trigger plugin, and when you first open up the plugin, you may see something similar to this on screen, or you may see a different factory default preset with more of these spaces on the keyboard filled. I like to save a completely blank template as my factory preset. So to do that, first let me show you how to clear out chord triggers that are present in the plugin. So first off, you're going to click this Learn button, and then click on a key, and then hit the Clear button. And then we're going to do the same thing for this D key. We're going to hit Clear. And then we're going to click Learn again, and now we don't have anything going on in the plugin at all. So I like to start here because I almost always have a really specific idea of what I need the plugin to do, and having a blank slate is the fastest way for me to get there. So once you've cleared everything out, then you can click up here on the top left, and then just choose Save as Default. And then the next time that you open up this plugin, you'll have a blank slate. Now there's two main modes in Chord Trigger, called multi-mode and single mode. Single mode is a little bit simpler to wrap your head around, so let's start there. Inside of single mode, all of the notes on the top keyboard will output the exact same intervals on the bottom keyboard. So let me explain how this works by opening one of the factory presets. So we're going to click up here in the preset area, scroll all the way down. You probably won't see most of these because these are my own saved presets. We're going to go down to single mode, and then to intervals, and choose octave. This is a really useful preset because it just adds an octave above everything that you play. So I'll show you by playing middle C. This top keyboard represents the input. So I'm playing middle C, and then the bottom keyboard represents the output. So chord trigger is triggering both the original note, middle C, and an octave above that, C4. So the exact same interval relationship happens no matter which key I hit. So if I hit an F, it plays that note and an octave above. So that's single mode. So let me show you how you might be able to do this on your own. We're going to recall the default here. Then I'm going to go to single mode. I'm going to hit Learn. And then we'll start with middle C. So I'm going to press middle C, or you can click it with your mouse. And you see it's got this really weird relationship by default. So I'm going to click on some of these notes to remove them. And now let's just do 2 octaves up. And then whenever you've got the relationship determined, go ahead and click Learn again. And now every note is going to play the original note and an octave above. So that's how single mode works. I mostly use single mode when I need to add an octave or if I want to shift certain notes of a part up. So sometimes you want to program so that the original note doesn't even get played. It just plays an alternate note instead. So that's all there is to know about single mode. Multi-mode is where you can really start to do awesome stuff because you can trigger multiple chords based off of different note inputs. So I'm going to recall the default again. Now we're here in multi-mode. So multi-mode is not that complicated, but you do have to have a good idea of what you're trying to accomplish. You need to know the chords that you want to have chord trigger output. So for this example, let's just kind of stick around middle C. We're going to hit learn. Now the way that chord trigger is fastest to program when you're in multi-mode is to play the trigger note, which is a single note, and then immediately afterwards play the full chord that you want that single note to trigger. So for me, oftentimes I end up using bass notes in the left hand as my trigger notes, because then it frees my right hand up to do other stuff. So let's say that I want this C to be my trigger note. You see, when I pressed that, it's highlighted on screen. So the next chord that I play on the keyboard will be learned as what that trigger note is going to trigger. So here we go, we're gonna play this full chord. And as long as you're holding down the sustain pedal or notes on your keyboard, you can add in more notes. And then when you release, the learning process is over. Now make sure that you don't just keep playing the keyboard, otherwise it's gonna keep going through that cycle of input note and then learning. So really quickly, just to test this chord out, I'm gonna uncheck learn, and then we can play this one note and hear how it sounds. So you can see that it's triggering all of those notes. So we're in the key of C, so let's go ahead and add a G trigger note. So there's G, and do A minor, and we'll do F. So we've got our 4 main chords ready to go. And that's that. Now, one thing to know about chord trigger, this blue range is what determines where those triggers are. So we don't have any notes triggered on this B, B flat, A flat, G flat. So because they're in that blue range, they're just not going to make any noise at all. For other notes on the keyboard that aren't within that blue range, they're going to just play the original note that you are playing on your MIDI controller. It's just going to be passed through. So I'm able to play whatever I want in the right hand. And have that left hand chord ring out. Now, if you don't want anything but chord trigger, then you can span this blue range out by clicking and dragging it full range. And you can also limit the layer range of the channel strip itself. So we've got our chords here. And then let's say that we want to make some really complex chord voicings, or we need to make changes to any of these chords. We just hit learn again, and then you can click on any of the trigger notes. And then if you click on any of the already selected notes, they'll be removed from the sequence. Or if you've got chords that are very complex and you don't want to have to worry about playing them perfectly accurately, you can just click them in. So we could make these chords do whatever we need them to do. Or if you know that you want to start completely from scratch with a specific trigger note, just hit clear and then it will start over. And then we can play our chord again. Span this back out a little bit here. And that's a little bit about how chord trigger works. So let me load in a pad sound now here, because this is one of the most common things that I use it for, is triggering a nice full pad sound with just a bass. We'll use the old reliable basic pad sound. And then what I'm going to do is click on the layer editor here and drag the layer range down so that it's only in the left hand. So it ends right where that trigger ends. So I'm able to play full chords with single bass notes. You can layer synth bass in there. You can put a piano in the right hand. All sorts of awesome stuff to give you larger than life key sounds, even if you're the only keys player. Chord Trigger is one of MainStage's most powerful features, especially when you need to pull off complex arrangements live. If you have questions about how Chord Trigger works, leave a comment and let us know. Like I said at the top of the video, we've made Chord Trigger easy for anybody to use inside of our Sunday Keys template for MainStage via what we call Easy Chord. If you'd like to see this in action for yourself, I'll include a link in the description to our Sunday Keys MainStage template. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next MainStage tutorial, and thanks for watching.